CoinDesk is interviewing Monica Long after she gave that opening speech and the initial conversation with Adena Friedman, the CEO of NASDAQ. There's a lot of good little pieces of information here. Let's go through it. I'll give you the context when it's necessary.
Back to CoinDesk Live. We are coming to you from Ripple Swell in New York City, where leaders in crypto, blockchain, policy, and payments have come together to drive impact. Our next guest is the president of Ripple.
Let's go.
Monica, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me and for being here with us.
Thank you for having us at the event. Andy and I have been having some incredible conversations here at the desk. I would love to hear from your perspective. What's the message you're sending at this year's Ripple Swell?
Yes, here we are in New York, financial capital globally, certainly within the U.S. And I think the situation's changed dramatically in the U.S. in 2025 for the crypto industry. And we're here to really signal how the bridge between the world of decentralized finance and the world of traditional finance is really happening. It's tangible. And this morning, we welcomed Adena Friedman, CEO and chair of NASDAQ. And that was really her message. And she backed it up with real tangible proof points of some of the work that she's doing with DTCC and others in the industry to modernize the infrastructure.
You know, it's become clear through the messaging and the acquisitions over the last year about how people should think about Ripple, right? Sometimes for retail people, it's a little bit abstracted away, but you know, diversified financial services company is something that people can get their hands around. And you have a prime broker now, you have a treasury framework provider, you have a wallet provider. You know, how do you handle messaging around all these new kind of limbs that Ripple is growing?
It's a great question. And yes, the company has expanded in a few different directions this year with the acquisitions.
Exciting.
And we think of M&A through two key strategies. One is to accelerate our existing product portfolio. So for many years, we played in the world of payments and making payments more efficient, more scalable using blockchain. And we have, in the past few years, really expanded to be the end-to-end digital asset infrastructure provider. So that includes not just the on and off ramps and liquidity, but custody, getting the network right. So we went about acquiring more than 75 licenses around the world so that we can be that partner to a business who's trying to make their cross-border payments more efficient through just one simple integration. So Rail, which we announced earlier this year, and then just this week, Palisade, are two examples of acquisitions that are strengthening the core infrastructure and adding missing puzzle pieces. And then the other kind of way we're growing is the second strategy is, you know, expanding to new lines of business that really will usher in the next wave of adoption of this technology. So I know you spoke with Renat.
Really quickly here, what's happening? Ripple went in trying to solve one of the biggest problems that there is, end-to-end payments, moving money around the globe instantaneously for fractions of a penny. They did that. Now Ripple understands when they go into these meetings and they have these conversations with banks are asking for all kinds of different things. Some are asking for stablecoin support. Other are asking for treasury support. Other needs wallets and custody. And so Ripple kind of understood, you know, payments are a vital piece of our business, but we also need to understand that we could be an enabler of all of these things, right? We could be the biggest blockchain infrastructure company in the world, but to do that, we need to provide all of these level of services, right? And so this is, I believe, right, we're watching history unfold as Ripple becomes one of the most important companies, not just in the blockchain space, but globally here. I mean, they're having meetings at the White House. They're having meetings in Downing Street in England. I mean, they are invited into some of the most hush-hush private places that most financial companies never even see the day of. And you start to wonder, what is the plan here? Is there a strategic, conspiracy is a wrong word to use here, but is there a global push here by regulators, central banks, and governments all understanding that something like XRP will be that bridge asset of the future that these countries will need to use, because trust is a hard thing these days, and financial institutions, especially governments, don't trust each other. And so how is everyone going to hold each other's currencies when there's all of this risk involved? Having something like a bridge asset where it's a neutral asset globally, that might be the solution to a lot of our problems.
CEO of G Treasury earlier, corporate treasury is a massive opportunity. They are responsible for most of the global money transmission annually. And so that is an opportunity for us to work with the G Treasury team to really co-develop the infrastructure and the next set of solutions that corporates would need to use blockchain. And then similar, Prime also being kind of a new line of business, but very complementary to where digital assets can improve efficiency.
I think let's talk a little bit more about Prime. You rebranded it recently, which is nice. It's just in the family, but it seems it's aiming more towards that kind of institutional trading and money management market that's very hungry for very credible service providers,
Yeah.
right? Crypto has shown what happens. Actually, traditional banks have shown what happens when you have a prime services unit on wobbly legs, right? It will eventually kind of experience trouble. So being on such a firm ocean of liquidity and balance sheet portends well for a business like Ripple Prime. It does feel a little bit different from everything else you mentioned. And so, maybe you can expand a little bit on where you'd like to see that go.
Yeah, and you hit the key word there. I liked your phrase, ocean of liquidity. So digital asset markets have grown tremendously over the past 10 plus years, but they still are quite small in comparison to the world of capital markets. And so having a business like Prime under our roof, we are a client. So internally, our payments team, we use Prime in order to facilitate liquidity for our customers of payments, but we see it as something that will also underpin more use cases. Adina Friedman spoke this morning, and also Mark Ashe, the CEO of Prime. He's talked about how post-trade clearing and settlement could really benefit from higher efficiency of capital mobility. And so those are some of the use cases we're working through, and that's perfect for what a blockchain is suited for.
This event is called Swell, and we were kind of playing around with that because the markets are choppy, and there's like
Andy's very good with words, as you
I guess. All right, Andy. Okay, Andy.
That make your boat unstable are the chop, but the swells are the big waves that if
Andy's just staying up all night long to think of, hey, how can we use what's going on in the market right now to have a word on play? I like it. He's engaging. It's kind of fun, but all right, whatever.
If you can
Wow,
navigate them
I know.
well, you can
Poetry
actually
over
move
here.
them. I am looking to point this towards, vision and how do you see the horizon? How do you navigate, whether they're regulatory or market sentiment or any kind of short-term problems to keep your gaze at the horizon really and try to navigate the swells.
I feel like I'm in a boat.
I mean, I feel the analogy you drew out has really been the history of the crypto industry and certainly our lived experience at Ripple. We're one of the old guard. This company was founded in 2012. I joined in 2013, so I've been through the chop in the moment, many different time periods of that. But then also these incredible moments of progress. And I do think with more regulatory clarity, that's always been the long pole in the tent, right? Like we've kind of talked about it on stage earlier today. I think financial services gets it. They get where markets could be more efficient, rails could be more efficient, more transparent. So they understand the value that blockchain can bring. The long pole has been, well, what are the regulators going to say? How are they going to view this? And that's just been a huge propeller. I need your help getting the analogy to fit together. It's been the swell that has brought us onto the wave.
You're doing
onto the wave.
You're doing great.
We're there. We got there.
There we go.
That's right. No, we got there.
I want to pivot a little bit and talk about stablecoins, a huge narrative this year, of course, on the back of the passing of the Genius Act here in the United States. RLUSD is, of course, Ripple's stablecoin, but we also had folks at the desk talking about EuroP today. I know there are other stablecoins building on XRP Ledger.
Yeah.
What's your stablecoin strategy?
Yeah, so, from a Ripple payments perspective, the vast majority of our flows are working with RLUSD today. And that was really our motivation for launching a US dollar stablecoin. Of course, DFS regulated, so we want it to be very credible and very trusted in the market, even by institutions. Some of the examples you're calling out, though, is the original vision for the XRP Ledger was to be a payments blockchain, and hence why it had the first decentralized exchange built into it. And so this idea of bring high quality assets onto the ledger, and stablecoins are a great example of that. And the DEX can be used to facilitate FX, with XRP being transaction fee currency, also a bridge asset between especially stablecoin pairs, or if we project into the future, other tokenized real world assets. That long tail might not always have liquidity for the asset cross, and so that's where XRP is the bridge.
We have a lot of folks watching who are ardent XRP, enthusiastic XRP army. What kind of message can you tell them about the growth plans and, what's sitting in their wallets right now?
Yeah, I mean, within Ripple, so of course we have a commercial business where we're serving financial institutions with that digital asset infrastructure. And then we also have a team that's purely dedicated to the ledger and continued innovation. I hope developers been following over the past couple years the amount of new features that we've put up for amendment. Next up is a lending protocol. So there's a lot of investment internally in just expanding the use cases and capabilities, and then also to bring more institutions in their use cases, like stablecoins being a great example, onto XRP Ledger, and we think about our Ripple team overall. We think about the flywheel effect between utility, trust, and liquidity in XRP. And we put a lot of work into utility.
Listen, what's incredibly interesting? I've watched thousands of clips of now Monica, Brad, David Schwartz all talking. You know what they never tell anybody to do? They never say go out and buy XRP, right? They don't have to. We understand that these people's goal is to not only build out this private company called Ripple that is going to offer all of these different solutions to financial institutions to bridge the gap between these legacy systems and these newer blockchain rails, but they're also evolving the XRP community silently in the background. When you look at your Michael Saylors of the world or your Jack Mallers, they're always telling you, go buy Bitcoin, go buy Bitcoin, Bitcoin's the best, right? Ripple doesn't have to do that. They are a silent partner here with the XRP community. They don't tell people what to go do. They go out and build these solutions, and that is where the value is really going to come in. It's not about the hype, it's about the utility. And that is why I am so involved here, man. This is why I'm so behind all of this. I feel like you pick a company that you love in the blockchain space, you go all in, and you see where all of this comes out. And man, let's go.
Monica, we are, I believe, at the end of day one for our CoinDesk Live broadcast. Not the end of the event. Talk to me about what you're looking forward to for the rest of the day and into tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, there's so much still to come. Tomorrow, looking ahead to tomorrow, I would highlight our CEO, Brad Garlinghouse.
I'll bring you that.
With Patrick Witt from the White House. So I can expect, I don't know that Patrick has any insight into the government shutdown, but I can expect there to be a robust conversation just about the policy outlook, probably crypto market infrastructure, or the crypto market structure bill would come up. And then also I'm really excited to see our co-founder, Cas Laurens, on stage. So he's going to be there with World Central Kitchen's Jose Andres talking about using RLUSD and our payments products for aid delivery.
Beautiful.
Both Brad Garlinghouse and Patrick Witt will be at the desk. And I heard that Cas Laurens doesn't often get out there in the public like some of the other founders and co-founders out there. So it's really special that he'll be on stage.
Yeah, I agree. He's such a visionary, and it's always exciting to hear from him.
Well, we're looking forward to day two as well. Monica, thank you for joining us at the desk.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Monica's got to be one of my favorite people. Like, if I had a board of who I'd like to interview, it's Brad Garlinghouse, it's Monica Long, and it's David Schwartz. I guess you could throw Cas Laurens in there somewhere, but I mean, so awesome, man. There's so many incredible things happening. Make sure that you're following. Make sure that you're subscribed, guys. I will bring you every single piece of valuable information. I will keep you up to date. I will help you learn. That is the most important thing right now. I'm Crypto Sensei. Have a truly fantastic day. I'll see you the next one.